Abraham was not just a man of faith, he was a man of extraordinary wealth. In today's terms, Abraham was a multi-millionaire, possibly even a billionaire. But here's the part that will shake you. God did not just bless him with wealth. Abraham mastered wealth. He understood divine principles of prosperity that made him one of the richest men in biblical history. Yet, his story is rarely taught in this way. We've been told to focus on his faith and obedience. But what about his financial wisdom? What about the fact that Abraham's household alone had over 300 trained men, a workforce so vast it was larger than some ancient cities? What does that tell us about his level of prosperity? And his wealth wasn't inherited. It wasn't random. It was built. How? That's what we're about to uncover. The overlooked secret of Abraham's wealth. Abraham's journey to immense wealth didn't start in luxury. He started as a man with a call to leave everything behind. Imagine this. You're told to pack up your life, leave behind your safety net, and go to an unknown land with nothing but a promise. Most people would have said, that's too risky. But Abraham obeyed, and that obedience set the stage for something far greater than he ever imagined. Here's what people overlook. When God called Abraham in Genesis 12:2-3, he didn't just say, I will bless you. He said, I will make your name great. That wasn't just spiritual, it was economic. God was positioning Abraham as a global figure. And in verse 5, we get a small but crucial detail that people miss. Abram took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran. He left Haran already wealthy. He didn't start empty-handed. But here's where it gets interesting. How did his wealth multiply from that point? How did he go from comfortable to one of the richest men in history? Abraham's first $1 million move. The moment Abraham entered Egypt, Genesis 12:10-20, he walked into a financial test that many would have failed. Because of a famine, he had to relocate. But when he arrived, he didn't just survive, he thrived. Pharaoh himself gifted him wealth. The Bible says in Genesis 12:16 that Abraham received sheep, cattle, donkeys, servants, and camels. In ancient terms, this was serious wealth. Most people assume this was just handed to him, but here's the truth. Abraham was a strategist. He understood how to navigate power structures. He leveraged relationships and opportunities wisely. When he left Egypt, he was significantly richer than when he arrived. This wasn't luck. This was divine positioning combined with strategic wisdom. The business mind of Abraham. A lesson in diversification. Genesis 13:2 gives us an astounding statement. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. Notice that his wealth wasn't in just one thing. He wasn't just a shepherd, he diversified. He had livestock, which meant he controlled food supply chains. He had silver and gold, which meant he understood hard assets. And here's something even more fascinating. Abraham trained 318 men in his household, Genesis 14:14. Think about that. A man training hundreds of people under his leadership. That's not just a family, that's a corporation. Abraham was running an economic empire. The game-changing move no one talks about. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Abraham had a choice. He could continue growing his wealth in a land filled with prosperity, or he could make a move that defied logic. He chose to let Lot pick the prime land while he took what seemed like the lesser option. Genesis 13:9-12. But what happened next? God immediately reaffirmed his promise to Abraham. Genesis 13:14-17. This was a wealth lesson hidden in plain sight. Abraham understood long-term investment. He wasn't looking for quick gains. He let Lot take what looked good in the moment while he focused on God's long-term vision. And it paid off beyond imagination. The battle for wealth and the unseen strategy of Abraham, Genesis 14, gives us one of the most overlooked wealth lessons. When Lot was captured in battle, Abraham mobilized his 318 trained men, pursued the enemy, and recovered all the goods and people taken. But here's the twist. The king of Sodom offered Abraham massive wealth as a reward, and Abraham refused it. Genesis 14:22-23. Why? Because he knew that accepting wealth from the wrong source could corrupt destiny. He wasn't just about money, he was about principled wealth. The final key to Abraham's prosperity. Then comes the defining moment. Genesis 15. Abraham wasn't just operating on strategy, he had a covenant backing him. God literally promised him ownership of the land. This was generational wealth being established. And to seal it, Abraham practiced one of the most powerful wealth principles, tithing. He gave a tenth of everything to Melchizedek. Genesis 14:20. This was Abraham's secret. He wasn't just chasing wealth, he was securing generational prosperity through covenant and giving. Here are 4 bonus facts for you. Number 1. Abraham's camels were a symbol of advanced trade. Genesis 12:16 mentions that Pharaoh gave Abraham camels. In those days, camels were not common livestock. They were symbols of international trade and wealth. Number 2. His trained men were more than servants. These 318 men were warriors, entrepreneurs, and skilled laborers. Abraham built a highly trained workforce, equivalent to modern business executives. Number 3. He negotiated like a king. When buying the burial site for Sarah, Genesis 23, Abraham insisted on paying full price instead of taking it as a gift. Why? He wanted ownership rights with no strings attached. Number 4. Abraham's wealth was so great it became a nation. His descendants became the wealthiest nation on earth. Israel's riches today can be traced back to the covenant God made with him. Abraham's story is not just about faith, it's about divine strategy. He understood how to navigate wealth, protect his assets, train leaders, and secure long-term prosperity. His wealth was not by accident. It was by divine principles and bold action. And the best part? These principles still work today. If you want to learn more about biblical millionaires and how they built extraordinary wealth, stick with us for the next episode. Because Abraham was just the beginning. What are you doing today to build wealth that lasts? If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, Book of Life Lessons Today.